To finish this section, let's introduce some terminology. So, for example, this is a polynomial. You'll recognize that you have some differences of expressions which are essentially a constant times power of x. Those expressions are called the terms of the polynomial. Now, this polynomial, you'll see it has no x squared in it, right? So there's an x cubed, but no x squared. So in some way, there is an x squared, but it has a coefficient of 0. Okay, so I'm going to add this hidden term. So all these are called the terms of the polynomial. So if you're asked how many terms are there in this polynomial, you'd say 4. So there are 4 terms. Okay. The constants that multiply each term. So the last one, the 8, you could say it's multiplying x to the 0, right? So there's x3, x to the power 2, x to the power 1, which is x, and 8 multiplies essentially x to the power 0. So they're all multiplying powers of x in some way. So the constants that are multiplying the powers of x are called the coefficients. So 8 is obviously here a special coefficient. It's called this one, is this one right there. That's called the constant coefficient, because it's the one that's doesn't change as x changes. It always remains 8. Okay, that's the constant coefficient. My pen is just ignoring me. The 4 here, that's called this one. That's called the leading coefficient. I don't know what's going on. Leading coefficient. Okay, that's the coefficient of the power of the highest power that you find in the polynomial. Okay, and overall, this guy here, that's called the leading term. And not surprisingly, the constant coefficient is also sometimes called a constant term. They're both the same because there's no x in that term, so it could be both a coefficient and a term. So you see the 4 terms. Like if we were asked, like list the 4 terms, you'd list them like this: 4x cubed. If there's a term with a coefficient of 0, you usually don't list it. So you just say minus 2x and 8 are the terms of this polynomials. So there are 3 terms. There are 4 terms if you include the 0x squared. But normally one would say that this initial polynomial has my pen just died on me. That it has 3 terms. Okay. Maybe more terminology. If you have a polynomial with only 1 term, that's called a monomial. Mono like in 1. So mono means 1. If you have something with 2 terms, that's called a binomial. Bi as in 2, right? You could have a trinomial. Okay, you get the idea. So ultimately you have polynomials. Poly means many, right? Polynomials are, they have many terms. There's also something called the degree of the polynomial. Let's stick to this example that we have here. The degree is, in the case where you have polynomial with 1 variable, as is the case here, it's the highest power you find among the highest exponent that you find among the powers of x. So the degree here of the polynomial is 3. I could also talk about the degree of each term. So the degree of 4x cubed is 3, the degree of minus 2x is 1, the degree of 8 is 0. Now I could also have a polynomial with many variables, maybe with 2 variables, like this. So this is a polynomial with 2 variables. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms. I could look at the degree of each term. Well, maybe let's list the terms. What are there? There's 4 x to the 10 y to the power 8. The degree here is going to be obtained by summing up the exponents for the different variables. So for x and y, the exponents are 10 and 8, so the degree is 18 for that term. The next term is this. The degree is 3 because it's x squared times x to the 1. The x has a degree of 1, so they both here have a degree is 1 for those terms, and of course 1 has a degree, can I spell this correctly? Degree is 0 in that case. Now the degree of the polynomial is the highest degree you find among the terms. So the degree of this is also the degree of the polynomial. So here's a little question for you. If I have the following polynomial, what is the degree of that polynomial? Pause for a second and then come back. So if you look at the degree of each of the terms, well, this is of degree 5, this is also of degree 5, this is of degree 8, this is of degree 1, this is of degree 3, and this is of degree 0, so you should have obtained that the degree overall is 8. So usually when we write a polynomial, we try to write it so that the degree of the term that's to the leftmost of the expression is the highest degree. So usually I would write my polynomial like this. I would start with the term with the highest degree. That's my leading term, in fact, and 7 would be my leading coefficient. And then after that I have 2 terms with degree 5, so I can list them in any order that I like. So maybe I can write this. And then I have 1 with a degree of 3, 1 with a degree of 1, and this. So I have a polynomial of degree 8. This is the leading term coefficient. This is the leading term. This is the constant term or constant coefficient. And I have overall 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terms.